Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Julie and we are almost at the end of the year. I want to make sure that every video that I roll out on this channel is comprehensive and very well informed. That might mean that I would go back to old videos and update it in a way where the information is current, fresh, and relevant with key takeaway information that you can use right away. At the top of my list is the very first Know Your Roots video in the series where I talked about the Ficus Lyrata, most commonly known as the fiddle leaf fig tree. If you currently have a fiddle leaf fig tree in your home and want some simple and basic plant care tips, or if you want to troubleshoot some issues that you're currently having with your tree, this video is for you. You might even have found my channel from watching my video, How to Propagate a Fiddle Leaf Fig Tree. There was so much information in that video, half of which I absolutely still stand by, and the other half, really could get updated with new information that I've learned along the way. Fiddle leaf fig trees are one of my favorite indoor plants. Not only does it grow super high, it has these really big, beautiful leaves. So they fill up a space very well, but the footprint isn't large, so you don't need a lot of space to grow these trees. The only thing about the leaves is that they sometimes get dust on it. So what you need to do is take a little wet cloth and you'll clean them all off, one by one by one. When I first bought this tree, she was probably about yay high, and after careful care, maintenance, and watering, she is actually overgrown. So I did a little bit of research online and I learned that you can propagate fiddle leaf fig trees. You can cut off branches, place the cut branches in water, you leave them right by the window, and then in about a month they grow their own roots. You must absolutely use a pot with adequate drainage so your roots don't get root rot and eventually kill your tree. Excess moisture needs to drain. I was experimenting a lot back then and air rooted this tree. I eventually repotted it to a smaller pot because I found that the larger one needed too much water. And that wasn't good for the roots because it needed to travel further to get to the adequate water. A common question I get asked is how long does propagation take to grow new roots? Sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's 2 months, sometimes it even takes your stem 3 months to grow the first signs of roots. Why is there such a difference when you've propagated all the stems at the same time? It depends on the amount of leaves that are on the stem that you originally cut plus the size of the leaves. I have the best luck with propagated stems that have around 2 to 3 leaves on it. Any more than 4 to 5 takes too much energy to grow roots and the stem can die during the propagation time without enough nutrients. Speaking of nutrients, when I made that propagation video, I had no idea that my tree needed fertilizer. I had been growing it to that monstrosity the entire first few years without any fertilizer at all, so it can be done. But since that video, I have learned so much new information about how to care for my fiddle leaf fig tree, starting with the fact that it needs a fertilizer with an NPK ratio of 3:1:2, 3 nitrogen to 1 phosphorus to 1 potassium ratio. This is because the fertilizer has high nitrogen content that these plants crave to thrive. I found my favorite fertilizer on Amazon and I will link it for you in the description box below. When do you need to fertilize? You want to fertilize the tree once a month from spring to fall, and during the non-growing season from fall to spring, you'll want to fertilize the tree quarterly. You can either add the fertilizer in the water that you're watering the pot with, or you can measure the fertilizer with a scoop and pour it directly into the pot. The best time to propagate a fiddle leaf fig tree is right before the growing season between January and March. That way, once you cut off some of the stems, the plant will have a little bit of time to recover before the growing season starts in March and April. Troubleshooting issues with your tree. These are the most common issues that I have found with my fiddle leaf fig trees over time. The first one is browning leaves. The most common cause of brown leaves on a fiddle leaf fig tree is due to a fungal infection, usually from the roots sitting in too much moisture. Overwatering and poor drainage causes root rot, which spreads from the roots to the leaves on your plant. Fiddle leaf fig trees prefer to dry out in between watering sessions. If you have a larger pot with multiple stalks in the same pot, it might take a little more water to water the pot the whole way through. However, you absolutely have to be careful when overwatering the plant because what you don't want is too moist, too wet, soggy soil. If your leaves start to brown and fall due to the soil being moist or really wet, let the plant dry out until the soil becomes completely dry again. Fiddle leaf fig edema. What does edema mean? Edema is often a symptom of moisture stress, which is caused by incongruous watering. Depending on the severity of the edema, sometimes your new spotted leaves will grow out to appear completely normal and healthy and green. There are a few ways to resolve edema if you notice it on your plant. The first is to use a well-drained pot. You might also want to increase the sun exposure that the plant receives. Avoid over-fertilizing. Read the label and cut back on the fertilizer if you notice that the plant is consistently growing new leaves that are affected with edema. The next issue is dropped leaves. Trees that drop a leaf or two here and there is actually normal and healthy for a growing fiddle leaf fig. All plants shed leaves over time because that just means that they're regenerating and growing new leaves as a result. Some of the older leaves or the larger leaves or the ones that are at the bottom of the plant might simply just drop off as new leaves grow to replace them. Dropped leaves are not the same as drooping leaves. If the leaves of the fiddle leaf fig are not vibrant, green, rigid, and upright, they are telling you that they need more water. Aside from the drooping leaves, how can you tell if your fiddle leaf fig needs more water? I do it the old-fashioned way. I simply stick my finger in the soil. I water my fiddle leaf fig tree once a week. If the top few inches of soil have dried in the pot, then I water it. If after a week I stick my finger in the soil and the top layer is not dried, that just means that I've overwatered it. Which means I then have to cut back on the amount that I water the plant and wait until the soil top layer dries before watering. The easiest way to tell if your fiddle leaf fig needs more water is to look at the condition of the leaves. Sunburnt leaves. Sunburnt leaves are caused from harsh direct lighting or leaving your plant out in the sun. Unfortunately, you can't fix sunburnt leaves, but you can help the plant reacclimate to a better location and climate and help revive it once again. I had a fiddle leaf fig plant that I was overwatering, so once I tried to figure out how to water it correctly, I actually brought the plant outside to let it dry in between watering sessions. I then forgot that I had that plant sitting outside, and by the time I brought it back in, one of the leaves was heavily sunburnt. I then decided to revive that plant in the best location in my home, the guest bathroom. Why is this the best location? It's the room in the home that receives the most amount of indirect sunlight per day. Not to mention that there's a lot of humidity that is caused by a steamy bathroom, steamy shower, so of course I knew that this was great for my fiddle leaf fig tree. That segues into what type of light is best for a fiddle leaf fig tree. Fiddle leaf figs should be placed in front of a window that will receive direct morning or afternoon light. What you're aiming for is a window with a mostly unobstructed eastern, western, or southern exposure. You want to make sure that there's no trees or buildings or any obstructions shading the window. Also remember to rotate your plants regularly. Why do you need to rotate your plants? You'll see that the leaves love light. Leaves start growing towards the light. So if you have your plant in one direction, you'll see that all the leaves start growing in one direction. The goal is to have a plant that is full and round no matter which way you turn it. I usually rotate my plant every 3 or 4 weeks. How often do you need to water your fiddle leaf fig tree? About every 7 to 10 days. I have my watering schedule down. I water all of my fiddle leaf fig trees once a week. The number one way to kill a fiddle leaf fig is to overwater it or not allow for proper drainage. Remember that fiddle leaf figs are native to warm, humid, tropical places where they get consistent moisture and even temperatures. Some people keep a moisture meter around for this, and I never got around to that. Water only when the top 2 to 3 inches of soil is dry. Do you need to mist the leaves? I used to mist the leaves. Then I found over time and through research that the water you mist the leaves with will evaporate quickly and doesn't do anything to help control the humidity in the surrounding air, especially if the room is large. The only way to control the humidity in a room is with a humidifier. So I have a little story I wanted to share with you. If you follow me on Instagram, you might know that the beautiful fiddle leaf fig tree that I've had for over 5 years doesn't quite look like she once did. So here's what happened. If you guys have been following my fiddle leaf fig saga, it's an extra sad day today. So just a little quick backstory. Last week we had this horrendous heat wave that hit Southern California. I started noticing a trail of ants right around my fiddle leaf fig tree. And then I sucked it up with a vacuum every single time I saw it. And then every time I came back to kind of check up on the fiddle leaf fig, I saw more ants. I brought the fiddle leaf fig tree outside, and upon a closer inspection, I found that there were thousands of ants. Literally an entire colony was teeming in the planter. So I did what I thought any plant parent would do. I pulled the tree from its planter, and as you can see, there's 4 individual stems. I washed every single stem off, washed off all the soil, and continued to repot my fiddle leaf fig with brand new soil. So herein lies the issue. We are right in the middle of growing season. It's the end of summer, but Southern California stays hot all the way through, really the end of the year. So as a result of me resoiling and repotting, the root system was completely shocked. Day by day, I found that the leaves were infected and they were falling off one by one. If you guys are following me on stories, you'll see a timeline. I literally was pulling off about 5 to 7 and then 8 leaves a day. And here is what we have now. So in order to save this fiddle leaf fig tree, I have decided to propagate the entire tree. Everything that you see here is brand new growth from this season. I'm really, really sad to cut her up. Clearly, she has been with me ever since I purchased this home. You'll remember that she was once flourishing and really hit my ceilings, but not all is lost. I have propagated over a dozen brand new trees from this mother fiddle leaf fig. So we are going to try to revive her in this growing season while propagating the existing stems that I have. And here's what we're left with. I know you guys are just as sad as I am. Look at my big, beautiful tree. I've nursed her for over 5 years now, but it happens, guys. But all is not lost. Look at all of these healthy leaves that I've salvaged from the tree. I'll be keeping a close watch on all of these propagated stems, and hopefully they will flourish and mature in no time at all. And I'm happy to report that it worked, guys. And here she is today in all of her glory. I cut the leaves only 8 weeks ago. We're now in mid-December, and she's growing beautifully. I can thank Southern California climate for this one, and of course my diligent care. So the moral of the story, don't give up on your tree. If you find that the tree isn't doing so well, move it around. Find a location in your home next to a window that receives a ton of bright indirect sunlight. Once you find that it does well in one location, don't move it. I would give it about a month or so in each location before you can determine if she's thriving in that location or if you need to look for another one. So to summarize, the best thing that you can do for a dying fiddle leaf fig tree is to give it some time to recover. Give it indirect sunlight, water once a week, and keep it in a room with a temperature that ranges from 60 to 90 degrees. I'm so excited to roll out brand new Fiddle Leaf Fig Care plant tips in the future in our Know Your Roots series. I want you to keep in mind that I am a beginner just like you. I know what I know from experimenting with my own fiddle leaf fig trees, from all the research that I do online, from watching other YouTube videos, and of course from caring for them every day. I've watched them die, I've watched them recover, I take my notes, and I troubleshoot along the way. That is why the fiddle leaf fig tree is my absolute favorite plant in the world. They're just as resilient as we are, and that is a true testament to the type of positive energy fiddle leaf figs will bring into your lives. If you like this type of plant care content, please give this video a thumbs up. Comment below and let me know if you have any cool fiddle leaf fig care tips you'd like to share, or if you have some issues you need help resolving. I love learning more about fiddle leaf plant care and will add useful tips to new videos in the future. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit that little notification bell to be notified of new videos that we drop every Tuesday. Coming up next week, it is that guest bathroom renovation that I promised you. We are finally here. I cannot wait to show you this crazy transformation. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week.